Ubisoft, the creator of some, I guess you'd say, hit franchises, obviously, with some of these, like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Watch Dogs is definitely trying to be as well. They have updated a bit of their business strategy going forward. Alex is here today with me from Podcast Now. Thank you so much for being here, Alex. I really appreciate it, and I hope people check out your channel. It is in the description down below, where you do a wide variety of high quality content that I love and am sometimes a part of. So thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, buddy.
Yeah, it's always fun here. And I do want to clarify something right away. There is what Ubisoft is saying this means. And I think that that's one thing we'll talk about. And there is also what this actually could mean, because Ubisoft has said that they are going to shift away from the traditional strategy of releasing 3 to 4 premium AAA titles every year, but plans to launch high-end free-to-play games for all its biggest franchises. This is from videogameschronicle.com, link in the description below to the source of this article. They did talk about an update on their strategy and said, in line with the evolution of our high-quality lineup that is increasingly diverse, we are moving on from our prior comment regarding 3 to 4 premium AAAs per year. Then going on to actually say, additionally, we are building high-end free-to-play games to be trending towards AAA ambitions over the long term. This is purely a financial communication evolution and doesn't change the fact that we continue to expect a high cadence of content delivery, including powerful premium and free-to-play new releases. They also did clarify as well that the content mix is expanding, not changing. And they said a good comparison, and this is what scares me, is the evolution of COD since Warzone. I mostly wanted to steer the conversation away from free-to-play games are replacing AAA games to free-to-play is going to be an additional way to experience some of these IPs. So like I understand that as well. They did also say that it would be a larger share of the revenue pie, not that there would be less traditional paid games. But Alex, first off, before I get into my soapbox, what are your thoughts on these statements?
Yeah, so I mean, and we'll talk about, you know, again, like you said, what they meant by it and what will probably end up happening. I'm kind of on both. Like, I understand what they said. I do think obviously there is kind of clickbait, not like this is clickbait, but there are clickbait articles out there that are saying like, okay, they're gonna, like, there are no more AAA and all free to play. But I think, you know, what we'll discover in this video is you can kind of do both. You can make it sound not so bad and make it be not so bad, at least to start, and then things may get bad down the road. But I mean, from a fan perspective, from a gamer perspective, literally just plays video games, loves to talk about any of them and cover them, it is disappointing. I mean, whenever anybody, no matter what the new model is, say the new model is even better, but whenever any company talks about reducing story-driven, say, single-player games, that does upset me. I mean, there's literally no doubt about it. Wasn't it EA that said years and years ago that, like, there's no money or there's nowhere to go in terms of, like, single-player? One of the reasons I'm most kind of grateful to Sony, if you can even say that, right? Sony, I think, single-handedly in the PS4 era, saved story-driven games, because that was their, and actually I'll go so far to say Sean Layden saved it, because that was his motto, that was what they wanted to do, and they crushed it. And I think they kept it around, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, from a fan perspective, I don't like battle royales. I don't play battle royales. I don't, open world games like The Division and stuff like that, if there's a way, and obviously they're making a Division free-to-play game, like, I'll check them out for sure, but like, history has shown me I'm not good at them. I'm not into them. I don't prefer them over the ones, that we get. Not that I adore Assassin's Creed right now or anything. Not that I adore Watch Dogs. I was so excited for Legion, and that game was not very good whatsoever. So not that they've nailed some of their actual single-player, open-world things. But yeah, from a fan perspective, I never honestly like hearing that.
No, I don't either. And even when they say, hey, this doesn't mean that we're replacing them, this just means that it's going to make us more money. Here's the problem with that, and we can look at this over and over, especially because they used the example of COD Warzone. So there's no way in hell to argue that this is now a disingenuous comparison that I'm making. They made it. Call of Duty has clearly focused less and less and less and less on single-player content in favor of the multiplayer content, And that was before Warzone, because multiplayer content made them more money. Selling map packs made them more money. Selling cosmetics made them more money. And it kept evolving over time. You look back at what it was to what it is. Advanced Warfare, getting crates, there was really no reason to purchase them, because you would just get so many of them per match. Then we saw that decrease every game, where crates, like the amount of crates you would earn to get, guns or gun skins or cosmetic items, they would go down. So it was more and more incentivized to buy them. Then we saw something like their Battle Royale start in Call of Duty Blackout, where you had the tier skips and they'd give you almost one of them every day and let you just keep increasing your tier and leveling up very easily, to now where it is in Warzone, where it takes a long time to level up one time, and it's pretty much all time based. It doesn't even have the, I guess what you'd say, the skill of Fortnite, where say you can do quests and earn XP for doing those quests while in the Battle Royale, even if you suck. Like, Alex could drop into Fortnite and be like, I'm going to go and discover 10 new landmarks because I haven't played this season, and I'm going to complete 5 quests, and I'm going to avoid other players. And he could leave the match, a couple levels up on the Battle Pass without killing anybody and being bad at the game. You can't even do that in games like Warzone anymore. And the point that I'm getting at is, this is a bad idea when it comes to providing good experiences to the players, but a very good idea for Ubisoft to make more money. They see where the money is. Where do you think the money is? Do you think the money is in selling Assassin's Creed for $60 a year? There's definitely money there. Or is the money in giving you a free thing that then certain people will pay $1,000 on and other people will drop $2 or $3 here and there? They know that there's these content whales that pay for free-to-play experiences and keep throwing money at them, so that we see less and less and less of the single player. When they compare it to something like Call of Duty, that does nothing to actually alleviate worries to me. In fact, it increases them, because that's exactly what they've done.
Right. No, I mean, it sounds terrible, honestly, the idea of it. And I think when you were talking, all your points I completely agree with. I was thinking of EA, and when you said even follow the money of past examples, Apex Legends obviously is one that comes to mind, right? Fortnite, but what's I think worrying about it is, if you're going down kind of the doomsday thing, which I don't think is wrong to do. EA basically did the same thing. They went away from story-driven games. I'm almost positive they were the ones to say, story-driven games are dead, all that stuff. I think they said there's no money, basically, that you can't make as much. So they had Dead Space. They had all of these franchises. They closed them all. They destroy franchises. And I have bad things to say about EA. I also have good things. Their PR department's actually very, very nice and very, very good. So I'm not just bagging, just in case people don't want to attach my name to it. But, EA went through the same thing. And, the sad and scary thing is, Jedi Fallen Order saved, I think, single-player games for them. So, Dead Space, all dead. Star Wars story-driven games, dead. All these, even Mass Effect died. Dragon Age has been in limbo, and obviously they're making the new one, but, it's taking a very long time, and there's all these issues reported in the game. So, but, then you get the Amy Hennig game that was canceled. Jedi Fallen Order came out, and it's holy dear Jesus, wait, single-player games still sell? And it's I know that's EA. I know we're talking about Ubisoft, but years down the line, like Jay said, if things progress 3, 4, 5 years, they could just be behind EA, where Far Cry 6 comes out, it does well, but maybe they do a free-to-play game, the Division free-to-play game, maybe that crushes it, and then all of a sudden they're thinking, well, let's take another AAA game we normally do and let's retire it, or let's close down the studio, or let's make them make a free-to-play game. And then you get into that. But then all of a sudden people don't like that, right? But obviously the money's still there, yada, yada. Then we're kind of hoping on a miracle that they basically give up on story-driven single-player games, and then they do one by accident, and people like it, which is kind of the EA thing, right? Every game they had that was like that was dead or canceled or whatever. Jedi Fallen Order somehow made it out. They somehow greenlit it, and it did insane, and EA was like, oh, wait, we can actually do both. And Ubisoft right now is on the reverse, where they're still solid, but they're going down that route. And, like Jay said, you can call us doomsday, or you can call Jay, or you can call me, but I think in reality we can kind of all see the writing on the walls. This is the beginning to it, even if it doesn't happen right now, which I don't think it will. I think it'll take a couple of years. But I think the long-term effects are, yeah, it'll start to be even. Then it may start to be more towards just free-to-play. And then it's going to take miracles to prove to Ubisoft that they don't have to just do free-to-play. Guess the silver lining is the investors were, I don't know if you saw this, Jay, investors weren't happy when they announced that. There was a lot of questions. There were a lot of people like very uncertain about that, and that was not a good idea. So maybe that scares them like down the line, but at least their own investors weren't sold on it.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I mean, well, so first off, again, not to always say I agree with everything you're saying, because we actually put up a video on your channel. This is
we hate each other. We hate each other.
We do, yeah. We turn this off and we say like, okay, like see you insert some slur here and then just hang up immediately. No, but you know, we did a video about Resident Evil the other day where we disagreed on just kind of how that was being handled a little bit. That will be going up on your channel at some point here. And I do want to say too with this that I think that, yeah, there's going to be people who say, well, this is Ubisoft, they could be different. But I mean, just looking at the history, you pointed out EA, I pointed out Call of Duty because they did that with Activision. By the way, speaking of that, Activision has now pushed all of their single-player developers into Call of Duty support roles. Toys for Bob, they're now working on Warzone.
Best Crash game.
Yep. So if you think for a minute that these companies don't see where the money is, that they took something like the Crash Bandicoot 4 developers, and just shoved them into making more Warzone content and cosmetics and bug fixes and stuff. And by the way, a ton of people left the company then, meaning now that even if the company does switch back, it's not exactly the same company anymore. They do. I mean, we see it again across the board. Konami is just the biggest example. Now maybe finally making another single player game because people hate them. You know, I mean, they don't really have another reason to do it other than to make sure their IP doesn't die, because they need to put out something so that their IP still has value, because all their IPs are being turned into pachinko machines. They used to have things like Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, Fatal Frame. They had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games. By the way, no one even remembers that half of those existed. Silent Hill and Metal Gear are still talked about. A lot of their older stuff isn't even. Castlevania. No one really talks about it anymore. All that's going on with Castlevania is a Netflix series, and then obviously, the spiritual successor that actually came out for it, Bloodstained, stuff like that. I mean, a lot of these series are just pachinko machines. They're basically roulette or gambling machines. GTA, Rockstar deciding not to really do much at all for single player up to this point and just continually pumping out content to push the purchase of shark cards. The problem is not where it starts. That's what I wanted to get at here with all of these comparisons. And I think you hit the nail on the head there with 3 to 5 years down the line. We don't know when. The problem is never how it starts. It's never, it's not a problem that Ubisoft wants to make you a free Assassin's Creed mobile game or a free anything game like that. That's not the issue. The issue is where it ends, which is, wow, these make so much more money than the objectively better created video game because people are lazy and want to just buy things to progress and don't want to pay for the game, and they can't see that they end up paying more in the long run. So let's milk them for all they're worth and not put the effort into the rest of this. Let's, in the case of Activision, push Toys for Bob onto COD because COD makes money and Crash doesn't make as much. Let's push, obviously, the GTA Shark cards from Rockstar instead of pushing single player content. EA, let's milk and nickel and dime everything ever. Every single Sims game will be worse than the last, and let's make sure that everyone's getting every single ounce of money, milked out of them for every little thing, because that's what we want at the end of the day, instead of making better games. And you see less and less good games, not even just single player, but just high quality video games that are premium experiences where everything or most of the content is in what you buy. That decreases by the year as this becomes successful. I think that's the main thing I wanted to say about it. Yes, they may not be replacing it now, but if this is successful, you would have to be blind to not see where this would be leading. And Alex, what are your, closing thoughts on all this?
Hit the red button, doomsday scenario. No, honestly, no, I agree. I mean, it's it's something that I hope they realize they don't have to do. They don't have to go down this route. Obviously, the what Ubisoft Originals that they're calling themselves now too. That's kind of funny that they're going down that route. I mean, I like Ubisoft. I really do. I know Ubisoft gets a bad rap quite often. And again, I'm not even the biggest fan of the newest Assassin's Creed games. I like them. My wife plays them a ton. I watch her play, and I enjoy even just watching it. Watch Dogs, I've always wanted to be a fan of that franchise, and I've played all of them, and I have the most conflicting thoughts in the world about them. So like, I like Ubisoft, but I don't know. It's just alarming that we're going down this road again, and I don't know. We don't really know where it leads to. We don't really know. I guess the biggest thing too is like what you're giving up. So I mean, I guess it's a fact that like we just, or at least I think both of us, I think I can speak for you. Like we're not into those kind of games as much as maybe story-driven games. But like just speaking for myself, like wondering what Ubisoft would maybe give up to make these free-to-play games is also somewhat annoying, right? Because I know there's going to be people that like it, and that's great. And I want people to like games. I want people to support games and play them. But I wonder what they're not going to do while, you know what I mean? Like the Skull and Bones, is that an amazing game? Can we get more of that? Or do they say, hey, well, let's do a free-to-play Skull and Bones game, and maybe it's half as good? And it's like, well, I don't know if I necessarily like that.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's less about what's happening now, more about what could happen and what would be given up to make this happen, which I think are the concerning things. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on this pivot for Ubisoft? I guess this is even less about Ubisoft, to be honest, for me, and I think for Alex as well. It's more about just gaming in general, like where the atmosphere of gaming is going, why we see less crazy single player experiences and we see more and more of the nickel and diming and trying to make the most for the least, which is what these companies are designed to do. So then when they're given those opportunities, of course they're going to take them. You know, it's I don't know how people don't see that. But let us know what you think in the comments down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more content like it. I appreciate you very much. We are growing quickly on this channel. We are, I don't know when this goes up, but when we recorded it, between 81 and 82,000 subscribers. So thank you very, very much for all of your support in the last couple months. It means the world. Be sure to check out Alex's channel, Podcast Now. The links are in the description down below. He does a fantastic job. He's an actual good friend of mine, not just a work friend. He does great stuff. I watch his channel. I'm on his channel sometimes. So I hope you'll check it out and subscribe to him as well. I hope you have a fantastic day. Alex, thanks a ton again for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
It is always a pleasure. And as always, everyone, tongue twister here, stay shway.